and then I folded that fabric in half, and then I marked about 7 inches from the bottom, and then I just marked, and then I drew a curved line from that point up to the fold. I don't have a curved ruler that is this long, otherwise I would have used a curved ruler, so I just eyeballed it and just went along with it. Then I now use the African print fabric to cut out the satin fabric, the one that is going to be the lining. Then I now place the fabrics right sides facing each other. Then I just put pins on the edge, and then I sewed along the edge. After sewing, I turned everything inside out, and then I just pressed it to make it flat. Then I now marked about 1 inch from the edge, and then I drew a straight line right down. Then I now went on to sew on top of that line. This is where I'm going to insert my elastic. Then after that, I now went on to my sewing machine, and then I put my sewing machine on tension 1. Then I now started to stitch on the curved edge. So you can make like 2 lines of these in case one breaks, but I was just a little bit lazy, so I just made one, and then I just prayed that it does not break. Then I now started to gather using that stitch that I done. Then I just continued to gather and gather until I had a resulting length of about 12 inches. Then after that, I now folded it in half. After folding it in half, I now went on to sew it on the sewing machine. And I just said to take my machine very gently and just sew slowly, because these were a lot of layers of fabric. After sewing, I also went back and I did a zigzag stitch. You can actually sew 2 times, and then on top of that now add a zigzag stitch again. So that is how it looks like now. Then I now went on to the bottom and then I added my elastic. So I just used a seam ripper to open like a space of about 2 centimeters, just enough for me to insert the elastic, and then I pinned it. Then I went on to sew the elastic down and also sew those gaps that I used to insert the elastic. So at that point, the base of the turban is basically done. Then, so to make the decorative flower, this is about 6 inches wide piece of fabric by 2 meters. Then I just joined the two 1 meter pieces together on the sewing machine like that. Then I also cut a same size piece of satin fabric and then I laid them right sides facing each other. Then I sewed on both those edges, but I left the ends open. Then when I was done sewing, I just used my hand to turn it inside out. Then I just went on to iron it and press it. And I also folded in the edges of the ends and ironed them. So the way that I made the flower was to fold that fabric in half and then go right in the center or the middle and then start doing a tacking stitch, and I just did this by hand. Then as the more I was tacking, I would just continue to pull and gather. Then I now took a piece of cardboard or just cotton, and then I took 2 pieces of fabric and then I made sort of like that little button. And then I now used my glue gun to glue the ruffled fabric onto the little cardboard. If you want, you can definitely sew it, but for me, I just found it easier to just hot glue it down. So as you can see, the more that I glue it, the more that I got that flower shape. And that is the back. Then I also added some of these pearl beads. I thought they made it look nice. So those are the two pieces. So the way you put this, you can add some velcro, you can add a pin at the back of the flower, but for me personally, I just choose to use safety pins to attach the flower onto the turban. So that is how it looks like when the flower is on.